Hey, what's up, Laser fans? Welcome to We Have a Take, the What podcast. I am Tara Bowen Biggs, joined as always by Rose Harding. Hello, Rose.
Good morning, Tara. How are you on this spring forward Sunday?
Yes, but when we scheduled, I forgot that today was they were springing forward, but I'm a morning person, so I'm one of those annoying people for whom this is no big deal. But I mentioned that we had to schedule a guest today. I am so excited for this guest. This is her first time on our program. Welcome, Chef Alli.
Hi. Thank
Yay!
you. Hello.
We are going to find out more about Chef Alli, who is not just a chef, she's an NBA chef, which is just, we're so excited to find out what it means to be an NBA chef. But before we do that, we're going to jump in with our usual icebreaker when we have a first time guest. So, our icebreaker today is what's your jersey number and why?
16. It's 16.
Okay.
Um, I grew up a 49er fan. I was a big football fan. Joe Montana was my favorite football player growing up. My first doll was a Joe Montana doll. My mom planned a C-section around the Super Bowl in 89. Like, my family are diehard 49er fans. So 16's always been my favorite number.
I love that. That's great. Good job, mom.
Yeah.
He's
Hopefully,
like,
everything turned out
we
okay.
gotta make sure. I was born perfect, but she's like, okay, this baby needs to be out before the Super Bowl, so we can just focus on that.
So
Can't be going
smart.
into labor with a
Yeah,
baby,
she's
during the Super
no.
Bowl.
How about you, Rose? What's your number?
So my number is 4. So the funny thing about 4 is that I don't remember how I landed on 4, but later on when I was connecting with my birth family in Korea, I realized one that 4 is like it's like that's their Korea's 13. Like it's like an unlucky number because the word for 4 sounds like the word for death. Um
Okay.
so I was like, "Oh, this isn't great." But then I did also learn that, when you meet your birth family for the first time, you don't know anything about them. But I'm the fourth sister. I have I have I have 5 sisters, but I have a half sister that was born after me. So, but when you name your sisters, you don't say like the oldest, the second oldest, the third oldest there. Like you say like the first, second, third, fourth sister. So I am the fourth sister. So I feel like 4 chose me out of the universe, and then it ended up meaning something to me later.
I love that. That's a great story.
Yeah. Tara,
Now,
what's your number?
okay, but hold on a sec. We've heard
Okay.
about your ice skating career when you were younger. Did you play
Oh,
what other sports did you play as well?
so I played softball all through like elementary, middle, high school. I played some soccer in there. Skating, obviously, like figure skating, you don't have a jersey number because it's just you, and it's more like sequins and chiffon and whatever. But like in so I have like, but softball, I still have like my hoodie from when I played high school softball with like my name on the back and my number on the back, and so yeah, number 4.
Yeah, I just realized that I didn't know what sports that you had played, and we're gonna get to Allie in a minute and learn more about her sports thing. But I'll do my icebreaker answer is 13. So I chose that one. I think because some people might be shocked to find out that I'm a contrarian. Um, but if somebody says this is the unlucky number, I'm like, that's mine. And the other thing is when I was a kid, my cousin was a baseball player. He played for the Atlanta Braves and he was number 13. At least in my mind, he was 13. I did not look it up in Wikipedia what his number was, actually, now that I think about it. So if you look up Bob Beal and he's not the number 13, it's because I misremembered. But yeah, 13 has always been my number for mostly soccer that I played, but everything else when I could get 13, I always took number 13.
That's amazing. So we're like 4 and 13, which are unlucky numbers in our respective cultures.
But we got them. But so let's turn and get to know Allie some more. So Allie, our first question for you is tell us what's your basketball origin story?
So I'm not athletic. I'm gonna put that right out there. I played fifth grade volleyball for like a week, and that was it. I'm more of a books girl. So, but I grew up in a sports family. Like I said, my family's very big into football. My family's originally from the Bay Area. I'm a military brat, so we moved around a lot, but our home base was Napa, California. So I grew up watching the Warriors, the Giants, Sacramento Kings. I know, look at all these faces.
The
Things like
W
that.
word is like a word non grata around here. I'm sorry. We might have to end this call early.
But since I'm a military brat, I can pick and choose where I'm from and what I like. Fast forward to my 20s, I moved to Portland from Idaho. And a couple years into me living in Portland, I met my husband, born and raised Portland, die hard Blazers fan, like die hard. So I watched him be so passionate about basketball, and I was like, okay, let me see what this is about because I do like sports. So our date nights every week used to be Blazer games. Go up to
Oh,
300s. We would be at least two Blazer games a week. Like, absolutely loved it. And I just got really, really into basketball because it's hard not to, especially in Portland. There's not a lot to do, especially for like date nights. So we just went to a lot of Blazer games and it just kind of started from there.
I love that. I agree that a Blazer game is a fantastic date night activity. Now, what era are we talking about where you first started
It was
really getting
Dame's
into
second
it?
year,
Okay.
right after
oh,
he won Rookie of the Year. We started dating when he won Rookie of the Year. So Dame's first season, but he wasn't watching it as much because we didn't have like cable or anything. And then my husband was like, maybe we should get like cable so we could see what's going on. So then we finally got like cable. And so we started really watching the games his second season. So
what
like
a
LaMarcus, like we still have all the coasters that they gave out. What was it? LaMarcus, like I really remember like T Rob. Um,
love T-Rob.
God, I love T Rob too. And then I really got into like Robin Lopez.
Yeah,
He was
Yeah.
like one of my
yeah.
favorite Blazers. Like I loved Robin Lopez because he was quirky. He wasn't trying to be anything he wasn't. He was just like, I like Disney and comic books. I'm like, okay, that's my guy. Um so that's when we really started getting into the Blazers. And I'm trying to think. Yeah, no, Robin Lopez was like that's when I went into it like full on. I was like,
So he was your first favorite Blazer.
yeah.
Oh my goodness. I mean,
No,
how do you not like Robin Lopez
I
though? He was
know.
like
That's such a weird era of like the Blazers too. I'm just like trying to think of who else was all on that team.
Batum, Wes
Yeah.
Matthews.
Oh man, Wes Matthews and Batum. Yeah. I was just like, okay. So I really started getting into it. And then my husband's a musician and he was doing a DJ gig for one of Damian Lillard's cousins called Brookfield Deuce. I was up at Mount Hood. It was like a little ski weekend getaway. I don't ski either. I did not ski. But we went to the concert and my husband was working and Damian Lillard's chef at the time, Chef Kenny, was doing a tasting. And I wanted to be a chef. I've been in the restaurant industry for over 20 years. I love it. Love it. Born and raised into it. My mom owned a restaurant. My brother's a chef. My sister's a pastry chef. Like it just what we do. So when he was doing the tasting, I was just, doing the server stuff because I was a server for a long time too and doing all that. And we got connected and started from there.
Oh my gosh. So Damian Lillard's part of your origin story as a
Yes,
chef.
Dame is a huge part of my origin story, which is crazy. So I started working at the practice facility and getting to know the trainers and doing catering with Chef Kinney. And then I got introduced to a trainer named Yem. He
Hmm.
is now a coach, I believe, in New Zealand or Australia. He just got his first coaching job, which is really exciting. Um, and then I got my first client.
Oh my gosh. Well, so Yim is, I love that he is in the background of so many stories that we have
Yem is
talked
the
to
best human.
so many people, and he is there.
Yem is the best human. Yim is everything. Yim has got me connected to so many different people and so many different players. And even just with the organization, like
Mhm.
it's just been
When somebody writes the story of the early 2020s Blazers, as they worked towards their championship that they're finally going to win in like 27 or 28, Yim is going to be all over it. And
Yim
I
is
just
all
like
over that.
it's going to
Yim
be
is
so interesting. He's like this kind of like in the background person that
Yim
is
is
so.
everywhere. And that's what's so great about him is that he wasn't just a trainer, he was also these guys' friends. They trusted him. I did a stage with my first, I can say it's Ed Davis.
That's
Wait,
my
Ed
all-time
Davis.
favorite Blazer.
Edward. So he got me connected with Ed Davis, and he was there for like my first little stage. And he's always been there in my corner. If I ever need anything, he's so well connected. He'll help
Okay,
you out at a drop of a hat.
what does stage mean?
It's basically like a working interview.
Okay.
So like you
Okay.
go and you prepare the meal and you do everything and you show off and then you get hired.
So was Ed Davis was he your first
He was my
NBA
first,
client?
yes. I went from working like catering at PSU and at Kira's gluten-free bakery to be an NBA chef. I went
Oh
from
my God.
I jumped really fast. Uh
So tell us about that experience. Like what
it
you
was
must have learned so much so quickly.
I had to learn quick. I had a hard time as a woman finding a job in the industry to work in the kitchen, especially I'm 36, so I'm like that last little gap of that old school man mentality in the kitchen. So like I would apply for chef or like line cook jobs, anything, but I always get hired for front of the house. So I was
Mhm.
always stuck being a server or a waitress, but I had a chef named Shy who took a chance. He's like, you're really just you won't stop. So some shifts I'll let you come back here and I'll let you prep. And then I would dishwash. And then I got to be like a line cook. So like I have some of that experience, but when I started the NBA stuff, I literally was working at Kira's, the gluten-free bakery in Lake Oswego. I quit that job and I haven't done anything other than basically NBA chef since.
Okay, so what does that mean? Like what do you cook for them while they're there? Do you cook them
Yes.
like food to like take with them? What is
Um
all that
so
logistics like?
every person's different. Let's see. So like a day for me is usually breakfast, lunch, and dinner. Um, Depending, sometimes I'll get breakfast off, which is great because I'm not a morning person. Um, so like I'll get up, I'll go to the grocery store, I go over to their home, I cook, I clean, I serve the meal, I serve the drinks, and then I clean up, and then I leave, and then I do it all over again for the next meal, and I do it all over again for
Wow.
the next meal,
Three
and
times a
then
day.
3 times a day, yeah. And then like on game days, the schedule's a little bit different, obviously. Like I they're at their house until like 12 o'clock or 11:30 at night because I feed them after the game. So like game days I get to take a huge nap because well, they're gone for basically lunch till about 10 o'clock at night. So like I have a good chunk of days off time off then.
That's
And then
amazing.
plane days, like if they have a road trip, I'll make them food for the plane if they want. I'll bake them some cookies or cupcakes or whatever to take and then go from there.
Wow. Do you do you feed just the player? Do you feed like their families as well?
I feed their families. And it depends. Like sometimes it's just like one or two people, sometimes it's 10. It just really depends on how many people are there. And a lot of guys really have a big circle of family and friends. So it could be.
Okay, so this is a totally self-serving question.
Yes.
Do you have a hot tip for like kid food that you think is just like the best kid food to, because I assume you feed quite a few small
Oh,
children
lots of
too.
small kids. What helps is if you introduce them to a lot of foods early on. Like I had clients that had like I saw them go from, you know, baby food, like soft like blended food to solids, but they had a chef the whole time. So I was there introducing like quinoa, lamb, kale, all different kinds of food and textures. So when they got older, they were totally chill with it. But I've also had chicken nugget kids, and I don't, as long as their family's okay with me feeding them chicken nuggets, I'll feed them chicken nuggets.
Sure.
But my best tip is to just feed them as much food as you can early on, just so they're used to it.
Yeah. Those like different tastes and textures can be hard for kids to like get
Really
into.
good. Yeah, I would have kids ask me for bone, which meant lamb chops. Can I have bone? And be like, because they would just like the bone of the lamb chops. I was like, okay. Like, if that's what you want.
It's adorable.
Do you
I can't
even Oh, go ahead.
No, I was like, I just can't believe that your first client was Ed Davis, who's my all-time favorite blazer. My
Yay! He's my
all-time
favorite.
favorite blazer.
I love
And
him.
I just like he was also somebody that like was one of those players that came here kind of mid or late career and then he like had his whole family here. And I just
Yes.
love it when those guys have their whole families here in Portland because even if they don't stick around here, it's like a special place for them. Like the
Yeah.
Jeremy Grants of the world who get to come
Oh,
back
Jeremy
someday.
Grant. I know. It makes me so happy. No, yeah, it was been and with Ed Davis, I also was with him when he was on the Nets. So
Oh,
we
you
moved
see,
to Brooklyn for a
wow.
year. Yeah. So that was even crazy.
That's
Well,
amazing.
oh my gosh. Okay, so I don't want to move off of Ed Davis yet, but another question I have for the future is what happens when somebody gets traded? Like that must be like a wild.
I'm okay, so I say I'm cursed, but we'll see. I always end up with a traded player.
Oh,
Really bad. Like I'm pretty like I tell people I'm like, yeah, you're probably gonna get traded because I'm like cursed, right? Like this is just how it is. Um, so with Ed, I was with him his last contracted year with the Blazers. So we knew that we would either end up moving or he would resign. So that was a lot different. So when he's like, "Do you want to come to New York?" I was at a job interview, like in the parking lot, about to go to a job interview, and his wife called me. She's like, "We want you." I said, "Okay, where at?" She's like, "Brooklyn." I said, "I know what I want," but I was engaged then, so I was like, "Let me call my fiance." I called him. I was like, "They want us to move to New York," and he's like, "I can't say no." So then I called her right back. I was like, "Yes." I went to the job interview, acted like nothing happened, did my little thing. And then by the time I was done with my job interview, we had an apartment in Brooklyn and we moved in a week.
oh my God.
Yeah.
Wow.
That's so fast.
So it's so much slower for us compared to the players, though. They have like 24 hours.
Yeah, that's true.
So I was like, we at least had a week because we went from a 4 or 5 bedroom house, 2 stories in Vancouver, like a house to a 300 square foot apartment in Brooklyn. So
Oh my gosh.
And then you got to like figure out like shopping in a new city to like, you have to figure out where to get all your stuff to like
where
do
is
your job.
everything? And you don't have a car. I lived really close to him. Thankfully, he's like, I could walk. I walked to his house every day. And
Nice.
between then, there was actually a grocery store right there, which was great. So I could go to the grocery store and then walk. But everything in New York is just like I can only carry as much as I could carry. So I was at the grocery store a lot,
Yeah.
like a
And,
lot.
and grocery shopping in New York is not pleasant. Like there's no casual Sundays at the grocery store in New York. It's always
And
packed.
produce is different, meat is different. It takes so much longer for things to get there. It's not, we're used to Oregon, right? We're used to the West Coast. We're used to produce and farming and farmers markets and things like that. So I really had to learn like you have to get food as fresh as possible and use it that day because it could go bad the next day
Yeah.
because it may be new there, but it's not new from out of the ground. So
When you are cooking for a player, are you, and it sounds like you started off in the facility. So like are you coordinating to on nutrition, or is that something that is a kind of a personal thing for
oh,
each
it
player?
it depends. Like it depends also on the team too. So like with the Blazers, I would know like okay, they would go talk to the nutritionist and it's up to the players to come tell me what they
Mhm.
wanted to do or not or what the nutritionist is saying. With other organizations, they'll send me an email saying this is kind of what we're expecting, but a lot of the times it's pretty chill. Um, I think because I have a lot more older and established players that they already know what they want. They know what their body needs. They they already know. So you don't have to um mess around with their nutrition as much unless they need to gain or lose weight. But other than that, it's really quick like tweaks.
Yeah, I was just thinking about how, like, have you ever been with like a rookie or like a really young player who's trying to just figure it out?
No, I've only been with like pretty established
Yeah.
players. So like
Who
I just come in.
a few years ago, I think it was Nasir Little
I
who
love this
talked
year.
who he talked about he didn't get his first chef until like a few years in because said he was just trying to figure everything else. I think it was
Yeah.
Nasir.
And the chef thing is kind of new. Obviously, like we all know the old school stories of like the 90s where everybody's like smoking in the locker room and eating McDonald's and stuff like that. So I think with like LeBron's career, he's kind of showed people like, dude, you gotta take care of yourself. So it's becoming a lot more popular. There's still a lot of people that don't have chefs.
Okay. Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah. Or they have like there's a lot of like chefs that just kind of like they'll come every couple of days or they'll just do a few little one-off parties, but not like full-time staffed chefs.
Hmm.
Hmm.
That's a little bit more on the rare side.
I kind of wonder if Dirk Nowitzki did a lot for visibility because he used to walk into his games holding that plate.
That
Like
was
he'd
his
walk,
wife though.
oh, he would just walk in with his
I think
paper plate with like foil on
yeah,
top.
his wife was making sure he was eating good though. So
That's amazing.
but that does help. Like it shows like, oh, they're not just walking in with a fast food bag. They're walking in with it looks like a home cooked meal.
Yeah.
So at
That
least you know.
yeah, and I have seen guys a couple times like walk in with like little like to-go boxes with their
Yeah.
meals in them, but like only Dirk with the paper plate like he
I
just came from the cookout.
it's like foil.
Yes.
Foil on. CJ, his Chef Joy, when he was on the Blazers, you would always see him in the tunnel with his little Tupperware fruit, like his cut up fruit. And I'm always like, yay, eat your fruit. Like he always had his little pack, but
He used to feature, I think he used to like post a lot of meals that she would make for him
oh,
on social and stuff.
yeah, he still does. He's still really active on that, but they're still doing that in New Orleans.
Yeah.
Is there like I imagine there's like a whole network of NBA chefs. Do you
Yes.
all like know each other really
Yes.
well?
We all know each other. It's a small niche market of private chefs.
Hmm.
I'm in Los Angeles, so like there's a lot more here, obviously, because there's some more like celebrities. There's a lot more teams here. You have the Clippers, the Lakers, Dodgers, you have football. There's a
Have you
lot
ever
more.
cooked for a non-NBA athlete?
No,
You're
I've only done NBA
exclusively
players.
NBA. Okay. I can't actually get off of Ed Davis because
No, you're fine.
we both love Ed Davis
I
so
love
much.
it too.
But also because he was your first client.
Yeah.
Like, do you even remember your first time going in and cooking, like your cooking audition for him? Do you remember that at all? I
Yes,
would have blacked
because
out.
I was so nervous. I was so nervous. I had my whole like my husband's whole family eating that same meal that I was trying out for like 2 weeks. It's like you guys are gonna get sick of this, but you're gonna eat this till I have it perfected. And thankfully I did it. It was a pork chop with like a bourbon glaze and like caramelized onions. I think some potato, I'm sure. And I don't remember the vegetable, but like it was a very
It sounds delicious.
yes, thank you. I was like, I should try to remake that. I should probably it's probably somewhere deep on my Instagram.
So at that time, you were living in Portland because you'd been also working with the team, right?
I
And that,
was I was doing like some catering gigs with Chef Kenny.
okay.
Because he was in the facility a lot. So I would come in like if I had a day off and he needed some extra help, like I was more front of the house.
Hmm.
I have a lot of front of the house experience, and some of these chefs don't really like they're great, but they don't know how to like service. So it's just kind of like I was always the one that was there for like the service part, helping plates, cleaning up buffets, prepping and things like that. So I was more of the helper, but I kind of got myself in there. Like I would bake cookies.
Hmm.
Like these are my cookies. Just kind of do things like that.
What's your favorite cookie?
I'm a sucker for a chocolate chip cookie, but like either a good classic one, but I love me like a bougie, like brown butter, sea salt chocolate
Yeah.
chip cookie. But I love chocolate chip cookies so much.
It's so simple, but why mess with perfection, you know?
And my mom, growing up, we're military, and so we would always do like Christmas cookies in like the tens, and it was like a whole assembly line. Like it was very important because it was like what everybody looked forward to kind of thing. So we are a very big cookie family. Fudge. My mom would make candies, all kinds of stuff. So it's just like kind of what we did growing up too. That was really special.
I think cookies are my favorite dessert. I love cookies.
I love
I love
cookies.
cookies. They're the perfect.
They are, and they can be chewy, they can be crunchy, they could be a little bit more savory, they could be super sweet.
Do NBA players like cookies?
Oh my God, they love cookies.
A lot of people don't know this about me, but my mom owned a cookie bakery when I was little. So
Ooh.
from like she bought a bakery when I was a baby because she wanted to be home with me.
Hmm.
She was a teacher before that, but she wanted to be home with me, but she also needed to make money, so she bought a bakery. And so like she put me in a pack and make and do all of her baking with me in her pack. But because I grew up, like she probably owned that until I was like maybe in fifth or sixth grade.
Hmm.
Because I grew up that way, everybody knew that my house was the cookie house. So you can even, if you ask my husband, like to this day, if we run into somebody that I knew as a small child, they will be like, "Does your mom still bake those cookies?"
Hey, so those cookies. That was
Eh,
my house too.
yes. So it's like becomes your whole identity is that like you're the house with the great cookies.
You got the cookies. And my mom owned a sandwich shop when I was growing up
Oh.
for a while. So like we always had homemade soups, we always had cookies, we always had sandwiches. Like everybody would always come to our house for food. Like we were always known to be the
We're gonna
house.
need to put a warning on this one. Like you will be hungry if
This
you
is
listen to
hungry.
this.
This episode is hunger.
That's amazing. Do you ever get to make any of your players, do you get to make like do they ask you to make like a meal that's special to them? Like they give you like a family recipe and you have to make it?
I Ed again, Ed's granny lived with them. And so she taught me how to make some southern food. So like, and I've cooked with other like family members. Like they've taught me things that like this is how I made it for them growing up. So like I've taken a lot of like family recipes and kind of made my own little twist, but like always tell them like, okay, this isn't originally mine. Like I learned this from this person's mom, and they go, oh, so it's real. I'm like, yeah, this is like legit food. So
Oh,
I
that's so cool.
I love that so much. And it's like, of course, because food is like cultural and
mm-hmm.
familial. It's like practically genetic. And like the foods that we
Yes,
like are like, I don't even know if the food that I like from my childhood is good because it's so good to me because it's attached to so many good memories.
exactly.
It makes perfect sense that a player might be like, I really want to eat this thing that feels
This
really
is
good
what
to
I
me.
like, and I'm gonna have my family member come out here and show you how to do it so we can have it.
I
Yeah.
think that's so cool.
No, it's one of my favorite my favorite thing about my job is getting to see the family and learning from them because like I'm military, like I said, but like I've mainly lived on the West Coast my whole life. I lived in Idaho, Oregon, Washington, and California. And so I don't know Southern food like that. I don't know East Coast food or Midwest food. I didn't know what a casserole, like I've never really had a casserole until I met my husband. Like that's just not what I grew up eating.
Wow.
So like for me, just to like learn the regional foods too that are so important to people just makes me happy too.
This might be hard for you to answer, but like I'm struck by the fact that all these players like they have to have a lot of trust in you to let you into their house and to like do this like super important part of their life, like feed them, feed
Yes.
their family. Like how what do you like how do you think that like they trust you? Like what it like you
Um,
know, for somebody like who grew up so far away from like where they grew up, but they're
I'm
like, this woman's awesome. I'm gonna hire her.
I'm so unapologetically myself. I'm not trying to hide that. I like playing video games. I like listening to podcasts. I like basketball. Like, I'm a little bit nerdy. I like Star Wars. And I'm not trying to be like a cool person and trying to show off anything. I'm just a chef. I love feeding people. I love people being happy. It's just like my love language is feeding people. So for me, it's just like I just want you happy. So whatever you want, however you want it, I'll do it. So I think it's just coming off as a genuine person and not trying to be anything too crazy. Like I'm not, I always say I'm like, I cook like a mom. Like I got a lot of
Mhm.
love, but like I elevate it with more like low salt, organic, healthier NBA, healthier style, but home cooking. So I think that's what gains their trust pretty quick.
That's
Yeah,
very Korean. So Koreans like it's like you don't. I mean, a lot of the way you say "I love you" is feeding people.
And we lived in Japan when I was a younger kid. So also a lot of my friends growing up were Thai and Korean and Japanese and Filipino. So a lot of my influence for cooking too is a lot of Asian food and a
Mm.
lot of that culture too. And my dad was very, very, very adamant that when we lived in Japan, we were immersed as much culture as possible. Like we learned Japanese, we would go to Japanese school once a week, we ate Japanese food, we would go off base as much as humanly possible to experience the culture. So I think also seeing how food was for that helped me learn that like it's a lot more than just fueling your body, it's also for your soul.
Yeah, for sure. When you sometimes in Korean culture, when you greet people, you ask like, "Have you eaten today?"
Yeah.
Like instead of like, "How are you? Have you eaten today?"
All right, you're looking a little skinny. If you come into my house, I start cooking immediately. Like everybody loves coming over to my house because you can't be hungry. It's not
Yeah.
allowed.
okay, Rose road trip to Allie's house.
Come on down. It's like 76 degrees and sunny right now.
Oh my
So,
gosh. It's pretty
Mm.
nice here. It's sunny today here in Portland. We've had
okay.
the little like we're in fake spring, where
Oh,
you
you're
get
in freaks. Okay.
that little
Yeah,
stint.
second
Uh,
fake spring.
you know,
It's gonna get rainy the rest of the week.
I
Um,
love Portland, but I could not do the rain anymore.
totally
Yes.
understandable. Very understandable. Well, okay, so I know you can't talk about all of your clients that you've worked for, but like about how many people do you think that you've worked for over all these years that you've been in the NBA? Just approximately.
I'm just gonna count one second.
I mean, if you're the person who like always has some the person traded at the deadline, I imagine
About
it's
like
a lot.
10.
Okay. Okay. Yeah, and
Ed,
Um,
so Ed Davis's last year here was your first year, and then now you've worked with 10 different players. That's a
yeah.
lot.
I cooked for Trevor Ariza too, and he got traded.
Oh, when he
Yes.
was with Portland?
We
Hmm.
Okay.
traded him. I think he got double traded that trade
He became
deadline.
the biggest, like the most traded player in NBA history. That trade deadline. That Woj, I will never forgive that man for what he did. The amount of
You
so
don't
it's
have
like,
Woj notifications
oh,
on.
now we're moving to. Oh wait, now we're going. Oh wait, now we're going to do. I'm like, that was very stressful, but
I think that Trevor Ariza that we traded Trevor Ariza, he got traded and then he got traded again before the deadline
and then
ended.
he got traded and traded and traded and traded
No.
Yeah,
and
he was
traded.
like a whole bunch during that like
That was it was like hours of just like nonstop Woj. I was like, can you please just stop? Please. Please. Now I can just yell at Shams, so it's fine.
Okay, how much does an NBA player eat? Do they really eat a lot, or is it?
It depends. It depends on the player. So I've cooked for really big guys, obviously like 7-footers, and I've cooked for really small, like 6'5", 6'4" guys. Um, a lot of them don't really eat as much as you think they would, unless it's game day.
Mm.
Game day is like a
Mhm.
different animal, especially like after the game. Like it's heavy carbs. It's all the pastas, all the potatoes, all the rice, as much as you can like throw in there. Pounds of protein, tons of veggies. Sometimes they want like little appetizers to kind of give them a little different flavors to go on top of their already full meal.
Wow.
And
I
it
guess that
depends
makes sense because he burns so many calories those
so
days. You
many
have to
calories.
recover. Yeah.
It also depends on their job too. Like, you know, they could be on the bench that night. They could be injured. They could be starting. They could be the only person in that position because everybody else is injured. So then they're working even harder. It just really is all up in the air. So you just kind of have to know the weirdest parts about basketball that people don't think about. Like,
Yeah.
okay, I'm going to watch the game and I'm going to see, okay, so he's played XYZ amount of minutes. He's made this many points. Like, okay, so he'll probably need a little extra scoop of this. So let me get an extra portion ready just because you'll have to know how much more fuel they burned.
That's so funny because I know that like as fans we watch and we're like, oh, so and so's getting so many more minutes. This is
Yeah,
so
you're like,
great. And
yay!
then
I'm
you're like,
like,
oh my God, gotta go back to the
I
store.
gotta go thaw some more.
I need two proteins tonight. Oh my gosh, it's too much.
Oh my gosh. So and then those overtime games are probably wild for you.
They are wild. Um, it's interesting because like I watch like I'm like, oh man, we're going to overtime, so it's gonna be a late night. Like, ugh. And I'm like, God, they're gonna be tired. It's like, oh, I might not have to do breakfast tomorrow though, because they're gonna want to sleep in. So, yay.
Were you working for a Blazer? I guess probably not at that point. The year where we were in the playoffs and we played that like triple OT.
What year was that?
I was the year we went to the Western Conference Finals. It was
19.
19.
It was
2019.
yeah, 19 because then the next one was 1920 when everything fell off the
I think I
rails.
was in New York
Okay.
Hmm.
because I remember. So my husband, like I said, is like the diehard Blazer fan, and I remember sleeping because we're in New
Oh
York.
my gosh, that would have gone so long.
The shot that Dame made, what was it against Paul George?
Mhm.
Oh
Yes.
yeah.
Yeah, it was that same season.
I okay, so we were in New York. I have never been woken up in my life to a man screaming and jumping on a bed. Like, I don't even know what time in the morning it was. I'm just like so confused what's going on. I'm focusing on the Nets schedule and I'm trying to be a Blazer fan, but I'm also like, I can't stay up long enough because I have to be up at 6 in the morning, kind of thing. So, like, him hitting that shot and my husband just like jumping and screaming. I was like, oh, okay. I'm going to try to go back to sleep. He's like, we did it.
Probably woke up the whole apartment
The
building.
whole apartment building. I don't. It was a crazy time, but yeah, I was in New York at that time, so I did not have to deal with that.
I can't imagine what it must have been like for like the chefs that had to cook for those guys because they played like three overtimes. It was super late
I
and
bet you
like
they're.
and it was the playoffs.
I bet you they texted them like, "Yo, your food's in the oven. Bye. I'm
Oh, you can
out.
do that?
You can heat that up in the microwave. I'm going to bed."
Oh, wow.
But playoff time is stressful.
Okay. Like, is that because you have to like be more in tune with the games? Is
I
that
think
are they eating
you just
more?
you just gotta lock in. You gotta have the same vibes as they do. So like I think what really helps is when your whole team is aimed towards the same goal. Like I'm not the basketball player, I'm not the one in the playoffs, but you still gotta want to achieve championship, right? So you still gotta be just as focused and just as crazy as a player is. Like once the season starts, I don't exist as a human. I always have to tell people, I will forget you exist. I'm not trying to be rude. I just lock in during the NBA season. But if it's the playoffs, I don't even see my husband.
Mhm.
I am too fucking see.
How far have you gone in the playoffs with a player?
I think only the first round.
Mhm.
Yeah, because I've been
But
I've
even that
been
is a big difference.
trying to think. Yeah, I think first round because the first year was first round and we got swept. And then we're
Oh
in New
yeah.
York, and I think that was the first round. So yeah, it's all been first rounds. And
Mhm.
then last year I cooked for a Laker. That was first round. Yeah,
We're
that's it.
smiling.
I'm
First
also cooked for
round.
a Clipper. Woo! But that Clipper was also a Blazer, so I cooked for Robert Covington too. So
Oh.
We love Rocco too.
we love
And
Rocco.
Hiroko snakes. The
Yes.
snake.
Oh yeah.
Did
Snakes,
you?
lizards.
Wait, did he have more? He had snakes and lizards as pets?
Yeah, he had leopard like gecko guys.
Oh,
They're cute. They're
he's a
so sweet.
reptile guy.
We,
Yes.
we used to
Big
give
animal guy.
out a most valuable pet award, but the guys on the team right now are kind of young, and there are a few pets. We really want to bring that pet back, but like
Yeah,
when
they're
that was like the height because Rocco had the snakes, Nurk had the cats, like we had a whole variety.
yeah, Nurk has a
CJ got his dog.
Fiona. She's her own little superstar. Yeah, Nurk had what, two cats?
Hmm.
They're like exotic cats too, with like funny
I
faces.
think they're Persians.
Okay.
Yeah, he had bougie cats. And then Rob, yeah, he had the snakes and lizards and dogs. He's done a bunch of stuff. Like he goes to the zoos and does like he wanted to be a zookeeper. It's really cute. He loves
Oh,
animals. Um, yeah.
I love that. So
Did,
he's one of the players that you would have moved with.
No,
Oh,
actually, I ended up in LA for my husband's career, and he just happened to be in LA too. So I was just like, "Hi, remember me?" So then I cooked for him until he got traded in Portland, and then I still stayed in Portland during the off season, and we ended up moving to LA at that October. And so then I just stayed in touch with him, and then I started cooking for him again out here.
that's nice that like the stars aligned for you there, and you
Yeah,
already
they
knew how to cook
do.
for
I was
him.
like, I was like, it's LA. I'm sure I could find someone. And the players all talk to each other. You know,
Yeah.
you could talk to any of your old clients and be like, hey, I'm going to be in this city. Like, let me know if you know anyone that needs anything. And if you do a good enough job, they'll hook you up. So,
That's great.
yeah.
Also,
so
that's maybe also the benefit of working with established players because they have more of those connections. They've been
Yes,
more places.
they do. And they're trustworthy and people respect their opinion. And like, you know, you could just get hired off of one person's word versus needing to interview. It's like, oh no, we trust XYZ, so we're just gonna hire you. You're like, oh, okay, thanks. Good to know.
So we got three Blazers. We found out three Blazers that you have cooked for. Ed, which we both went melted inside a little bit.
I love it.
Trevor Ariza and Robert Covington.
Yeah.
That is very cool. Um, I probably gonna start wrapping up the cooking questions because we want to talk a
Yes.
little bit about the Blazers. But one question I have for you is, and it's probably again, it might be kind of hard to answer, but like, what's your favorite thing about the the job that you have?
I think just being a part of a team, I really like I when I was like a catering manager, people used to call me coach and like make fun of me. Because like I'm very like team orientated. I really like working as a group. I like achieving the same goal. And I think for me, just being able to be in an environment where everybody cares about one goal is just so nice.
I love that.
And also just getting to be around athletes. They're all super nice. They all have their own little quirks. They're all funny. You have your goofier guys, you have your more serious guys, you know. One day you could be in a house full of family, the next day it's, you know, one or two people. It's just all it's never boring. Like
I love knowing that you get to, that like everybody who works in support of athletes also lock in for playoffs. I love that you were like, oh, I
yeah.
have to lock in because
Oh,
it reminds you that like trainers lock in, coaches lock in, families like lock in.
families, yeah, you know, make your kids like don't yell too loud. It's you know, it's morning time. Let's be a little quiet because daddy got a playoff game today, so we need to let him sleep. You know, things like that. You don't. A lot of people don't realize like how much your home environment also has to change for you to be able to perform like at the level that you need to in the playoffs.
Yeah, it's that's amazing. And I bet it's like it's kind of it sounds fun, you know?
It is fun. It's like a fun stressful. It's restaurants are stressful and fun, like when you have like your dinner rush, but like imagine your dinner rush that like doesn't end for like a month. Just like every time you're at work.
Yeah. I, yeah, I can't imagine. I'll say I can't imagine that.
Rose, do you have any other chefy questions?
The only thing I wanted to ask is if you have like a favorite thing that you've made, like a favorite dish that you make that you've made, maybe made for lots of players, or that you use like your go-to thing. You're like, this one always hits.
I have like every player has their favorite dish I make, right? So it also really depends on the person. I'm I personally only eat Asian and Middle Eastern food because that's just what I like. But like working with so many different people from so many different states, like I've learned to cook Southern food. I've learned to cook, Caribbean food. I've had to learn how to cook different kinds of pasta. Like I'm not that big of a pasta person, but like I make a lamb pasta with kale that people will ask for all the time, or there's a lamb chop recipe that I make that people are obsessed with. So just like I try to make as many different kinds of cultural food as possible for people. But personally, if I can just eat yakisoba and like sushi every day, I'm happy. Maybe some bulgogi. That's what I would like to eat every day. So I've got a lot of people eating a lot more like Asian food that you probably wouldn't expect.
Oh, have you ever cooked for somebody who can eat really spicy?
Yes, Ed.
Egg. Of course he
Ed could
could.
eat some.
Of course he
I would
could.
I would have maced myself coughing with like tears, and he's like, you need to add a little bit more if that's what you're doing. I'm like, I know. I'm not. I'm not. He trained me to be a spicy person. So like
Oh.
I was not I couldn't even eat Taco Bell hot sauce before I started cooking for him.
Oh.
It's embarrassing. But now I can handle some really good spice. I'm like, thank you. Like, because he ate some spicy food.
Ugh. Man after my own heart. This one true blazer. Right? He's also we're both left-handed. Like
Oh,
we had our
lefties.
we had our kids at like the same time. Like I'm telling you,
Oh.
Ed is my one true blazer, even though he was here for, as with Tara and I say, like he was here for a good time, not a long time. Like
Yeah, he was. He's like definitely one of my favorite types of players too. I just like a blue collar, hardworking kind of player too. So
same. And the one that everybody's like, what a great teammate. I'm like, yeah,
yes, because
what a great
he's a
teammate.
great teammate. He taught me how to be a great teammate too. Because you bring that into your personal life, you know?
Yeah.
We say more about that.
Hmm?
Say more about that. He taught you how to like. What do you mean?
Well, I think because like he's just such a positive person and such like a go-getter kind of guy that even like I'd be cooking, he's like, how much longer, chef? And I'd be like 7 minutes, and he'd just sit there and time me. He's like, all right, you got 7 minutes. I'm like, oh, got 7 minutes. So it's just always really playful, but also very competitive, which is fun. But that's a fun teammate, just always challenging you and pushing you and also like supporting you too.
Yeah.
Accountability and support is like,
Yeah.
yeah, that's wonderful. I love that. See, Tara, I knew I picked the right favorite one true blazer for me.
You did. He's a great guy.
Yeah, I love that. I want to respect your time and I want to find out from you how you've been doing this season with the Blazers as a Blazer fan.
So I love Tumani. Love him.
Mhm.
I am obsessed with this new team. I'm trying to watch them as much as possible. Sometimes I don't get to. That's the unfortunate part about being a basketball fan and a basketball chef is you don't have time to watch
Oh.
basketball, which kind of sucks. But like I said earlier, I watch a lot of recaps. I
Mhm.
also have the app on my phone. I'm watching. My husband tells me all about it, but
Yeah, he's
I
not missing a game, it sounds like.
oh, he does not. He does not miss a game to say it. If it's 2 in the morning, he's watching a game. He does not care. He's been that way forever. So he always like will watch it. So I'm a huge Tumani fan. Love him. Absolutely love him. I also love Anthony. Like I can't help it. Like just watching him grow as a player has been so cool. And just I don't know. I just love Anthony too. Like I got that that old the old Blazers team I still really miss. So he's like our little bit of that era.
I've
He's our
really come
baby. We watched him
around.
grow up.
Yeah. I mean, there was a lot at the beginning of the season about like, Jeremy Anthony and who's the other person that everybody wants to trade all the time?
I think it
DeAndre.
was
DeAndre, yeah.
DeAndre.
And so like at the beginning I was kind of like I was ready to be done with Anthony and have him move on and go somewhere. And I still think it would probably be I still want for him to play somewhere where he's going to be appreciated for what he
Yes.
plays.
Yeah.
But now I'm starting to think, "Oh, we actually might be that. This team might actually be that place
This
for him."
I don't know what happened in like what December. Something clicked. I don't know what Chauncey mixed into Gatorade to make all these players just all of a sudden click. But they're the funnest team to watch. Like I watch a lot of teams. I try to keep up with everybody. There's always basketball on. They're so fun. They are having a good time. They're working together. There's ball movement. They're sharing. Like it's a different style of basketball you don't really see anymore.
Yeah. It also like as a Blazer fan, it's like hard to see a team suddenly be like defense first. Like they
I know. I was gonna
lead
say,
with defense.
look at Anthony playing defense, y'all. Like, yay, he's doing it. But it is kind of wild because we're just so used to like CJ and Damian doing their own thing, and they aren't known for their defense. So then coming into this, I'm like, wow, they're actually like stealing the ball, making blocks. Like,
Running
Mhm.
in transition.
they're doing stuff like it's so much more fun to watch. Not that it wasn't fun to watch CJ and Dame, but like it's just so different.
Yeah, style wise, it's like a completely different style than if you were a fan during the Stotts era of Blazer basketball. It was
Mm-hmm.
like defense was like you did enough to survive
Yeah.
for like a really potent offense to win for
That
you.
that live or die by the three mentality that we had that we got used to because you also had to go against the Warriors. So like basketball's changing again. Like it changes every couple of years, but I'm liking the defense part. It's a lot more entertaining.
Yeah, we've talked about like having to actually like retrain our brains for what to watch for because
Yeah.
it's so different. And if you started really in the Damian Lillard era, like you as a don't know from the Blazers
Yeah.
anything close to defense or
No.
dunks for that matter.
No.
Like, I mean, it was ISO. It was so ISO heavy and it
Mm-hmm.
took so long for it to change and then it took a couple of years under the current coach to like figure it out and to get the personnel right. And when they
Yeah.
were playing OKC the other night, even though they ended up getting blown out, I was just like, this team is so much fun to watch.
Even when we're losing, we're still having a good time.
And they don't
Yeah.
give up.
They don't. Like Tumani just full court pressing. Like, oh my gosh. And then what was it? When they played they played the Lakers and LeBron pushed Tumani. I was like, you get under their skin, okay?
Yeah.
You do that.
Yeah.
When you
It
cook for a non-Blazer, do they care that you're a Blazer fan?
No, they think it's funny.
Oh no.
Well, you know what I mean? Because like when you cook for a organization like the Lakers, you're expected, people are like, oh, so you're a Lakers fan? No, no, I'm a Blazers fan. I watch the Lakers. I love the people I cook for. I watch their games. I make sure like I'm into it. But like they all know I'm a Blazer fan. I've had a client put on a Blazer game. He's like, here you go. I go, thank you.
No.
Like, you know what I mean? But I think what makes it okay, they think it's funny, is because I'm called Portland home.
Mm.
It's a different thing in the sports world. And like how everybody gets traded all the time these days, no one really hates each other anymore. And it's not like I like Boston or, like
Yeah.
anything crazy like
Yeah.
that. So they're usually pretty chill about it and they laugh in a good way. They're like, really? They're like, yeah.
I mean, if you're with guys who get traded a lot, like they've played for lots of organizations, you
Yeah.
know?
And they've played with old Blazers. You know what I mean? So like everybody knows everyone. It's such a
Yeah.
small little niche market. So
Yeah. That's amazing. And I like that like the NBA family part is bigger than any one team.
yeah.
Um because it just makes it for like probably nicer to, I don't know, be a part of.
Yeah, it does. Especially if like since I've worked with such older players that they've been around a lot. They've
Yeah.
been traded. They've played for a lot of places. So like everybody knows everyone.
I'm so fascinated by this perspective because I've been up to my eyeballs for the last so many years in like the fan aspect of it. And
Yeah.
we haven't really had a chance to talk to many people who actually either work with or for the team. And this is
Mhm.
just like a whole new perspective that I'm realizing that I've never really even
It's
thought about.
hard. It's hard. I've even joked about making a bird Twitter account just to yell at people because I'm like, y'all are being ridiculous sometimes. Because I know because I was once a fan, so I get it. But now you see other parts of it and you're like, oh, okay, that's it's hard to talk like trades. So like trade them, get rid of them. We're like, no, but they're happy and they have a family or they have a house they like. I don't think about that other stuff. I don't think about the team. I think about the person.
Hmm.
So that just makes it a little hard. And my husband's too. He's like, it's hard to be a fan, the old sense. He's like, I've had to adjust. He's like, I watch so many teams now, a lot more because like, oh, you cooked for this person. They're on this team. I still respect them and love them as a person. So I'm going to watch their career still. So our house just has like so many different. We're more of a team based family now versus just a organization only.
Hmm.
Yeah. And like you're fans of players probably for their whole careers.
Yeah, they're
And that,
like full career. I will watch until they don't play anymore. And even if they're on Team USA or in the G League or overseas, like I'll still follow them. Ed played in China. I watched him in China. He played in Puerto Rico. I watched him in Puerto Rico. Like I know Nasir as a person. I wasn't his chef, but like we talk and I'm watching his career. He's on the American team. Like Rob's on that team too. So like I'm keeping up with all that. Like it's more than just like one team and one
Hmm.
organization. Now you got to do like cast your whole net and watch the rest of it.
yeah, that's amazing. But that also is more of like a reflection of what real life is like. And
Yeah.
I think that sometimes as sports fans, it's easy to cast away parts of real life that you don't think about when you think
Yeah.
about your sport. And it's like this nice reminder that like everyone who does sports lives a real life and does all those things that the rest of us do.
Yeah.
Like we run late at work sometimes.
Yes. Sometimes we slept really bad and just don't feel good and just have an off day. Or, maybe something happened and it's just,
Somebody
yeah.
cut you off and
Yeah,
or
like
just like you're
something
cranky
you
for
got stuck
whatever.
in traffic and you had some like you didn't want to deal with it. So then you had to go and perform in front of thousands of people in an arena plus a broadcast plus every beat writer, ESPN, like all those people just talking about you and you're just like, oh, I just had a bad day, y'all. Like it's not that big of a deal.
I had always wondered earlier this season when Anthony was having like a tough time, I was like, maybe his baby's not sleeping well. Like he has a
Yes.
baby, maybe it's sleep regression in the Simons household, and
Yeah,
he has to deal with that.
you have to deal with that, but like people don't think of players as a whole human. They expect them to be like robotic and have things done and just be able to turn it on and off. And it's just like, if you had a bad night's sleep because your kid was crying, they got kids too. They have whole families, they got wives,
They got pets that might
they
need to
got
go to the emergency
pets.
vet.
Yeah, you got dogs eating socks. Like, who knows what was going on? You don't know anything because they're also very private. So it's just like,
Hmm.
you could tell something's going on because you can see it on the court. And you're like, especially as Blazer fans, I feel like we really know the players and we really care about them. And I don't know, it's different. Like, even the guys that I've cooked for that aren't on the Blazers, like, the Blazer fans are crazy, like, in a good way. Like, they're very dedicated. They love their team, they love their players. He's like, they'd be like, every player is their favorite player. So, we're a little bit more in tune with that versus like Boston fans, Laker fans, they don't care. But like you just said, you're like, maybe his baby isn't sleeping good. And other fans don't think about that. They're like, Get over it. Get some more coffee. Get to work.
Oh, it's so interesting because again, a perspective I had not thought about. I always figure, all fan bases are the same, but you've been around enough to see that they're not.
They're not. And Blazer games are still like the Moda Center is still the best place to watch a game like ever. I've been to a Nets game in Barclays. I've been to the Clippers games. I've been to Lakers games. The vibes are just so different. I miss home Blazer game vibes. I miss everybody just like everybody just knows what to do.
Mm.
They don't need they don't need the announcer to say anything. People just have their own rhythm. They know what to do. Everybody goes to games enough. Out here in LA, it's like there's a lot of tourists that come to games. You know
Hmm.
what I mean? Like a lot of people come to town to go to games, so they're not used to like the atmosphere, or they go to be seen at a Lakers game. So it's just like it's not the same vibes, which is really weird.
They're not necessarily just there for the basketball.
Yes, exactly. So I'm just used to like everybody goes to Blazer games because they're Blazers fans, and this is just what you do in Portland. You go to games and you support your team, and they make it affordable. Um, the family packs and stuff like that. A lot of organizations don't even do anything like that for the kids, like the
Hmm.
signs, the family plans that they do for like the meals. Like that's a very Portland thing as well.
I read that Phoenix did something like that this year, where
Phoenix
Phoenix made,
just kind of started doing that, but like Portland's been doing that,
yeah.
and I think that's what also helps the fan base because you're a little kid and you can afford to take your family. So you build like lifelong fans versus just like, adult fans.
Yeah, Rose is building a lifelong fan right now. Her daughter is 8 and is
Ooh.
super into the Blazers and is the number one
Yeah.
Scoot Henderson fan.
Oh, I love that. I love Scoot too.
She's like, we're both fast. She's like, I don't think the thing is I haven't told her this, but like she's no faster than any other kid. But like in her mind, she's fast, so she's fast. Scoot is fast. They're both small and fast.
Has she gone to a game?
Yes. We've taken her to like probably like 3 games. The first one, I don't think I took her the end of last season. I don't think that she's gonna remember that one because
Yeah,
it was an unremarkable loss with a bunch of guys who aren't on the team anymore.
that's fair.
Um, Playing a lot of minutes. But like this year we took her to that Jazz game that was right after Christmas where Scoot hit the
Oh,
game winner, like
yes.
right at the last second. And it was like,
Her eyes.
yes. It was like, that's
And
it.
also,
No.
I can see it being so rewarding that she was so excited about that win when there was a whole segment of people complaining about that win, because they won, they're supposed to be tanking, they shouldn't have won against, or
Okay, when they're
all
tanking, they
that.
get mad, and when they're not tanking, they're mad. So,
Yeah. So, by the way, Allie, rebranded. We're rebranding tanking to lottery bound. We think that's a
yes,
much more positive way to think about it.
that
So
is
we
a
say
good way
that
to do it.
they're on the Development Express headed for Lottery Station.
Yes, yes.
And they've been doing pretty good on their journey so far.
They've been doing great. And you know what? They're so fun to watch. Like, even when they lose a lot, but when they win, I'm screaming. My neighbors are probably like, oh my God, what is going on? Because I can't help it.
I mean, wins are exciting and like reprogramming your brain to hate a win because you think that you want to be higher in the lottery. Like,
I, these people want to win. No one wants to lose. No one
no.
wants to lose. They're
Player
competitive.
Players do not tank. This is the other thing that I like. Players don't tank. Like
No.
players play to play their best. They want to do well, and like front offices tank or whatever, but like
Yeah.
players don't.
No.
I bet they don't come home after the game to their delicious meal going, oh, thank goodness we lost that game so that the team can get a better draft
Because
pick.
who was it last year who was the worst team and they got like the eighth pick? It doesn't matter. It's a lottery. It's
Yeah.
not.
It's gambling.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
gambling. You're literally gambling. So you're going to lose as much as humanly possible to maybe get a chance to win in like 3 years
The
because you're
number
still
one
only getting a rookie.
the number one pick last year was a team that played in the play-in.
Yeah.
Like,
It doesn't.
it's a
Well,
lottery. It's gambling.
Rose, do you have any more questions for Allie before we move into takes?
I don't think so, but I just want to say thank you for coming and
You're
chatting with us
welcome. Thank
and
you.
telling me about my very favorite Blazer in the whole world, Ed
Yes.
Davis. I'm just thrilled that I can like him even more for very specific reasons, like that he brought his grandma to live with him.
Yeah, he's got a whole family. They're very, very family orientated. So,
It's the best.
and I'm still in contact with them all the time. They came down to LA this summer for Yim's wedding.
Right.
And so yeah, so
We saw Yim's wedding on Instagram and like a bunch of players were there.
yeah. So we went and got lunch and hung out and stuff like that. So we're still close. Like I still talk to him all the time.
That's so great.
Yeah.
Yay. Well, tell him that I love him next time you see him.
He knows that there's still Blazer fans out there that love him. So
Oh yeah,
He was
he
my
made a
very
big
first
impression.
jersey. I had my very first jersey was an Ed Davis jersey.
really, mine was a Robin Lopez jersey.
He also is somebody who makes Portland kind of home. Like he's through
Yeah.
Portland after leaving.
Yeah. I hope he just ends up living there full time now.
He should.
He should.
I think he like goes to Mariners games a lot. Like he's a West Coast kind
Yeah,
of
he
vibe
is.
guy.
Yeah. He is just West Coast vibes. Him and Jeremy.
That's right.
For sure.
Okay, so this is where we get to the part where we ask you about your take. And because the podcast is called We Have a Take. But this could be a take about basketball, it could be about food, it could be about whatever, it could be about the weather this week. We just want to know today. It is March 9th, 2025. Allie, what is your take?
That's a good. Let me think. I've been trying to think of this whole time too.
I famously am never prepared with my take.
My, you know what? I wanted to say this out loud. My hot take is I think hot dogs are sandwiches.
Oh,
Okay.
hot dogs or sandwiches? That's the take today, everybody.
I'm willing to blow up the internet for that, and hamburgers are too.
Why
Cheeseburgers.
is this a debate? That's what I don't understand. It's
I think
a
people think
piece of meat
sandwiches are.
between bread.
I think it's because they're like, no, it has to be deli. No.
Oh, like sliced?
Yeah.
But like a chicken sandwich is a sandwich.
Yes. But is a chicken burger a chicken burger or is it a chicken sandwich? See, that's where everybody gets messed up. So then you're like, well, a burger is a sandwich. That means a hamburger is a sandwich. And like a hot dog's a sandwich. See?
Yeah. Yeah, I'm coming along. A couple of weeks ago, I said I talked about how I wanted a pizza named after me with pineapple on it, and which is another thing that the internet is very upset about.
I love pineapple on pizza.
Love it.
That's because
Sometimes those opinions just feel like they're the internet, they're not real life.
they're just not elevated in their taste and they can't handle like savory and sweet together. Their
Yeah.
mind would blown if they ate like Hawaiian food.
Yeah, right. Well, and I'm Korean. Korean loves
Yeah.
like spicy sweet.
Yes. Oh, a good spicy sweet. So I think their just palates can't handle salty and sweet.
Yeah, and their brains can't handle the hot dog as a sandwich.
No, they can't.
All right, Ellie's brave take.
My
Hot
brave
dog
food take.
sandwich. We'll see if it blows up Blue Sky. See if Blue Sky can handle it. We know Twitter couldn't handle it. We'll see how
No,
Blue Sky
Twitter
does.
cannot handle me.
Sarah, what's your take?
Okay, I have a Bravo take. Allie, I
Okay.
don't know if you watch Bravo. You probably don't even have time to because you have so many jobs or
I
so
don't
busy
have
with your
time to
job.
watch TV, but I'll try. Let's go.
Oh, here comes my cat.
Oh,
Hopefully she didn't
Hi.
we didn't turn everybody off. Okay, so here's my take. So the rumor has it, and it's pretty good, it's on pretty good authority, that it seems like Bravo is starting to try to form a Real Housewives of Seattle.
ooh.
It seems that they are doing some test filming of a Real Housewives of Seattle. And my take is that they need to make sure that one of the housewives for Real Housewives of Seattle needs to have an NBA connection. Because timing wise, with the potential return or expansion to Seattle, like it would make such great TV.
It would.
So My take is that Bravo needs to have an NBA related person in their new Real Housewives of Seattle franchise. And then maybe I
They
can get Rose to watch.
Well, they have a bunch of like NBA adjacent people across their other franchises, is what I understand from you.
There are some. So the one that's very popular is that Robin Dixon was married or is married to Juan Dixon, who was a former Trailblazer. And a lot of the like Atlanta has several like wives of coaches or players. But one exciting Blazer related piece of Bravo adjacent news that we learned this week. So there's this show called Southern Hospitality, and there's a player or cast member who's named Shep, and he's a whole separate story. And he thought that he was in love with this woman who was clearly not very interested in him, but he planned this whole trip down to the Bahamas to visit her with the whole cast. And they went down there, and it turns out that she was not that into him. But the exciting thing that we found out in the after show is that Shep's non-girlfriend, her sister, is the mother of DeAndre Ayton's child. And they're old, because the mother of his child is somebody that he knew growing up. So this person on brought on Southern Charm, Sienna, is the sister of DeAndre Ayton's child's mom. So, you stick with it long enough, you'll get the
It'll all come
connections.
around.
I was wondering if DeAndre Ayton was going to come into this. I was like, the Bahamas, eh?
Yep.
Wait a
Yes.
second.
Yes. So yeah, and it didn't come out in the main show. It came out in the after show, which is like after the show airs, then like the players watch it and they like make comments on it and stuff. And so the Bravo group chat was very excited about that news. We were ablaze yesterday with this news. It was so exciting. Well, also like in Salt Lake City, the housewives traveled to Milwaukee and went to a Bucks game, and they actually talked to Damian Lillard. And so that was another exciting thing. So yeah, it's all coming up. So come on, Real Housewives of Seattle. Let's get like Jamal Crawford's family or something like that on there.
That would be cool.
I don't know. Wouldn't that be fun?
Isaiah Thomas's family is in
Isaiah
Seattle.
Thomas. I mean, there's so many like, does Detlef, did he move back there or is he in Indiana? I don't know. There's just a lot of potential there for Bravo. That's all I'm saying. So that's my take.
That's a great take.
What's your take, Rose?
Okay, so this is a take that I had because I was watching a clip on like a reel on Instagram, which is old. But do you remember when they used to have like Sue Bird and Diana Taurasi like watch games and like comment on games? Like I don't know, like it's not like you're not like you're watching with an analyst, but they like talk about the play, and they would talk about sometimes the players and whatever. I was like, oh, like Sue Bird and Diana Taurasi are amazing. I was like, but what if, so Diana Taurasi just announced her retirement from the WNBA. What if they put Diana Taurasi and Evan Turner on
I love
all
Evan.
season long to watch the NBA, the WNBA, and I was just
Yes.
thinking, I was like, that is maybe my ideal duo to do that kind of like live watch is Diana Taurasi and
Ooh.
Evan Turner together. Like Evan Turner does this stuff with like what's his face, Andre Iguodala, whatever, that's fine. Sue Bird, also love Sue Bird, legend, but Diana Taurasi and Evan Turner together would be like magical television. And so whoever does those things, makes that stuff happen, that's what I want to see. Diana Taurasi, ET on my TV for both seasons, 12 months a year. That's
Yes.
That's
amazing
my
take. Amazing.
Well, Evan's very active on Twitter, so just hit him up to tell him what you want.
He's jet setting though. He's like, I'm in Paris, I'm in Boston, I'm in wherever.
Living that retired life, whatever.
Do
Yeah.
retired players have personal chefs?
Yes. Well, for the most part, yeah. They still didn't learn how to cook. Not as often, though. It's more of like a treat versus a full-time job.
I wonder if Evan Turner still has that giant house here in Portland. I remember he would like post lots of
I
photos.
think they
and
sold
videos.
it.
Yeah. I mean, it makes sense. It's like, why? It would just be hard. Sometimes it's hard to sell those homes in Portland because, like,
It is because
as we saw, Norman Powell's house was on the market for like years.
I think because like only people that could afford those houses in Portland are NBA players.
Yeah,
Or
we have
people that
so
work
many
at, like,
guys
Nike
on
or Intel.
Yeah, and we have so many guys on like early contracts that they
Yeah.
can't afford to
Yeah.
buy the
You're like, I'm
the
in an
bigger
apartment,
houses.
y'all.
Yeah. I would love it. I want to hear. I'm always fascinated by like the young players and their entree into the league and what that transition is like and everything. So if you ever um cook for like a younger player, I think that would be super interesting to
I
learn more
want
about.
to. I'm not against it. It's just I haven't had the opportunity
Yeah.
to.
Well, and
And
it
I think
makes
that,
sense since they don't know everybody.
yeah, and they don't realize how important it is yet. They'll
Hmm.
get there.
Yeah,
But
I remember CJ wrote an article for the Players Tribune talking about how like it was really hard to go from like in college where you're making like a certain amount of money and you're eating
mhm.
like fast food and stuff like that to
Campus
like
caf like food.
yeah, and then you have to go to the NBA and like be serious about like your nutrition and your like discipline and it's a different world.
At least the facilities cater. So they always have meals
So
provided for them.
they can come
But
in and
like,
get them from the facility.
yes, so you can go get food and they have like a snack bar and they have like your grab and go stuff. But like, you see rookies just like literally opening up a backpack and just like dumping stuff in their food backpack for food.
I always wonder if the guys who like bring their moms with them when they're a rookie like do better just because they have somebody that cares for them in the way that they're
Yeah.
used to and they don't have to think about that stuff because now it's like having to learn to take care of your whole life and play like really high level basketball's got to be hard at that
Yeah, it's
age.
hard.
Like last season, I remember, I think it was last season, I remember somebody like opening their fridge and it was like full of like packaged meals that somebody's mom had come in and like cooked a whole bunch of food for him and left him.
Moms are the true backbones of the NBA.
That's
That
that's our dream. We would like a mom to come on this show sometime to like talk about what it's like to support their child through the NBA.
They're the backbone.
yeah.
They're with every I have met every player's mom.
Mm,
They are there.
they are our dream guest.
Yeah.
Yes.
Well, Allie, it has been so much fun talking to you, getting all of this great information, learning more about your work as an NBA chef. Do you have socials that you'd like to share if people want to
You
know
could just
more about
add
what
me
you're up
on
to?
you can add me on Instagram for it's just Chef Alli, so it's Chef Alli. And then that's my TikTok as well.
Awesome. Thank you so much.
Thank
And
you.
thanks to everybody who has listened today. You can find the podcast at We Have a Take on Blue Sky and wherever you find podcasts. You can find me at TCB Biggs on Blue Sky, and you can also find Rose at Rose L. Harding. Thanks everyone for listening and go Blazers!
Woo!